Hi, welcome to Posca Club. Today we're going to draw something by the Pintachan art studio based in northern Spain. Nice and simple, just a few colours. So let me show you what you're going to need to take part. These are the colours, yeah. Well, you don't have to go exactly the same colours as me. I know I always say that. Light pink is what I'm going to use for the face. Main skin colour is going to be light pink. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put some red and light blue stripes in the jumper. We're also going to use this red, bring this into the face as well for some cheekbones. Okay, so feel free to mix these colours up if you wanted to use like a light green for the face and then a normal green for this colour. That's going to make it a completely different character, but it will still look really cool. Finish off with a black. We've got quite a lot of hair in this character with black. The details around the face, eyes, nose, mouth, that kind of thing, and even some fingers. They're really simple, so we'll get away with just using a 5M in black. We won't have to go to down to a 3M. So these are all 5Ms, nice and fat, so we can get finished really quickly. Art Gecko sketchbook here. This is a freestyle sketchbook. It's made for Posca Pens, so it's the perfect sketchbook to have. Okay, go and grab your skin colour. Let's go and get this piece started, shall we? With your skin colour, let's go and we want to put in a fairly big circle. Now we are going to go a little tiny bit bigger than this with the black line, so don't go right to the edge, but you want a fairly big circle, and I'm going to do it around about here. Something like that will do nicely. There's my circle, and then down at the bottom here, what I'm going to do is over on this side, I'm going to try and put in the beginnings of a hand. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into that area so you can have a closer look at what it's going to look like. But down here in the bottom corner, let's go and put in, first of all, the hand is doing a peace symbol. Let me just zoom out a little bit so you can see the top of that circle a bit more. The hand is doing a peace symbol, so we're going to do two fingers coming up first of all. So let's put one there and one there. There's our peace symbol. Then this side, let's just bring this line down just a little bit like that. Over on the other side though, we're going to jump out from there. We're going to jump out and then drop down and curve back. Okay, you know when you curve back, you want to curve back to. Let me put this line in actually, just there. Look, you want to when you curve back, you want to curve back to this part of the line. Okay, so we're going to go across, drop down, curve back to that line. Just chop the end off here a little bit. See, there's a little tiny lip, so it just comes a little bit lower. That's because these are the folded over fingers. This is going to be going down into the wrist. That's what we're aiming for just there, okay? Lovely. Once you've got that in, we can go and throw in the neck. Neck's going to be nice and simple, so just move over this way a little way and just put in a little neck like that. Okay. That's it for pink lines. So let's go and grab now the black. I'm going to put some just black guidelines in. And then we'll throw some colour in, okay? So first black line, let's get into this face. We want to take a line out across the top of the head. So let's go about here. That's going to be the fringe. Over on this side, we're going to take a slice out. We're going to go down, take a slice out, a fairly big slice. Over on this side, a much smaller slice. So this side, let's go from about there, take that line down. This side, a little bit smaller. Take that line down. Let's carry it on. We're going to do a big line now that's going to go round the entire head. Essentially, we're going to start here. We're going to miss that finger, go up there, just get quite close to this pink line, go all the way around this pink line, and then drop it down on this side. Okay, so just make sure everything's dry before you start smudging everything around. But from there, let's go up, get quite close to that pink line, all the way around, and down that side. Just a couple more lines now to help us out with the jumper, and then we can start colouring in. There we go. Let me zoom in on that bit. And what we're going to do is where this hand is, we're just going to take a little line out and then down, okay? So just there, out and then down. Same on this side, out and then down. Not much, because we're going to do the same around the neck clip. So just here, out and then down, out and then down. This bit will become the jumper, the body of the jumper. This bit obviously will become the arm of the jumper, because that's where our fingers are poking out. Right, let me just zoom out so you can have one last look. That is where you should be by now. Something similar to that anyway. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but something similar to that. Let's get started, shall we? We're going to start off with the pink colour. Now, one thing to remember whilst we're doing this is that the beauty of this piece is all the cutting in. So, because we're not going to put any black outlines, there's nowhere to hide. So we need all of our corners on all of these bits to be really, really sharp. So as we're colouring in, we might have to make a little bit of a mess in order to tidy it up in a really nice way later on. So just go with the flow on this one. Trust the process, and I'll highlight these areas as we go along that I'm talking about. Okay, so first things first, let's go and put in some pink. So we want to stay inside the hair here. So let's work our way across. I'm going to outline that bit at the top first. We're just going to work our way across. As usual, don't forget, if you're colouring in, nice and gentle with your touch. You don't want to be pressing too hard on that paper. The lighter you press, the more chance you're going to have of having a thick coat of paint on there. Keep your pen primed. Always have that bit of scrap cardboard handy. Keep your pen primed on that. Don't prime your pen on your sketchbook, because one day it will catch you out. If ever that does happen, if ever your pen does bleed and chuck out a load of paint all over your sketchbook, main thing is not to panic too much about it. If it's not a lot, then you can just wait for it to dry and go over it. If it is a lot, then, like for example, if it was a big splodge there and there was a lot, what I would do is I'd just wipe it with a piece of tissue or a cloth or something, so it's all dry. It might look smudged, but if it's a big smudge on there, you can just colour over it again. And because it will be a flat smudge, when you colour over it, you won't notice it. If you've got a big blob of paint there and it goes dry, that blob will always kind of give you like a raised area, which I don't think looks quite as nice. It's worth knowing as well, even if that blob or even if that smudge is right next to the, if the blob's just here and the smudge goes all the way across the page, again, that doesn't matter. As long as you're thinking, right, can I colour over whatever area I smudge this on? And this is the good thing about Posca pens. You don't have to worry too much about making a bit of a mess, because they are really easy to tidy up after. Now, as you're getting down here towards the bottom of the face, we are going to go into the neck. See how we're curving around the bottom of the face, but we will go into that neck area, colour that in, and then get into those fingers. And we will put some extra little lines in those fingers to define them a little more, but for the time being, just chuck it in. And we're still in that kind of like making a mess stage of drawing. We're not after having anything look nice, so try not to scan your picture and see, does it look nice? Are you happy with it? Don't look at it that way yet. It's always meant to be a little bit messy at this stage. At this stage, you just should be thinking, right, how can I get the next coat of paint on nice and quick? Okay, pink face, pink hand, we've got that done. Now we're going to go into our stripes. Now, the first stripe we're going to do is the one that will not be the cheekbone. So I'm going to use this red as a little cheekbone on the pink. So if you remember at the start of the session, I said you could use like light green for the face, for the skin tone, and then a green for the cheekbone. Whatever colour you're using for the cheekbone, do not use that yet. Just go straight in with this, the alternative colour. I'm assuming a lot of you are not using exactly the same colours as me. And what we're going to do is we're going to go down the arm and the body here and put some stripes in, some thinner stripes there, fatter stripes there. Paying attention to the fact that when we've done those stripes and we put the black on, which is going to be the last colour that goes on, we are going to draw a line down there and it's going to sharpen all that off. It's going to make that a really nice stripe. So for the time being, let's just put in some stripes in there. How many do I want to put in? I'm going to put in some thin ones here. Now look, I'm not worrying at all about the edges being particularly neat because I know that they will be tidied up a little bit later. Just like I was saying before, it's all about knowing where you're going next with your pen, which bits are going to be tidied up. And actually, by going a little bit further over on these lines, you're giving yourself an easier time when it comes to putting that black line over the top. If you go right to the edge, like what we're doing there, then what you might find is when you're doing that black line, there might still be little bits showing through. So just make sure you kind of try and get rid of all of those as much as possible. Okay, so work your way down, do some stripes. Now I'm doing stripes. You can obviously mix this up, do whatever you want with yours. But I'm staying reasonably close to the original piece by Pintachan. There we go. Now we can go and get in with the other colour. So the red is going to be the cheekbone colour, but it's also going to be the alternate stripe colour as well. So first thing we do is go and put in the cheekbones, because this should all be dry by now. Give it a real gentle coat so that you're not smudging anything. Try and be quite smooth. One of the things that works with this style of artwork is how smooth you can keep it. So let's put one there, let's put another over here. It's a bit small, so let's make it a bit bigger. Nice and gentle, don't press too hard in those areas. We've got ourselves a nice couple of cheekbones. Once you've done that, the blue stripes should now be dry, so we're going to go back into those blue stripes and throw in some red in between. Now again, just a reminder that you can see that the edges are really rough on this. It could be that you actually like those rough edges. They might work for you, which is fine. If you want to keep them, you can keep them in. But what I really want to show you today is how just by going a little bit bigger than you need to in certain areas, you can make your job easier when it comes to cutting in. And to be honest, just in case you don't know what cutting in is, essentially that is where you create a border, create a line by going over some of the other colours. It can look really nice, like for example in this pink area here, we're going to put a black line on, then we're going to cut in again with the pink afterwards to give us some nice sharp black lines. On this bit here, we're going to cut in with that black, we're going to go all the way down there, and it's going to make that really rough looking edge just there, it's going to make it look really sleek. Okay, love this one. This one's moving fast. Let's take you back to where you need to be. Next thing we're going to do is put the black on. Now we are going to do a little bit of cutting out with this black, so little areas like up here. Look, let me zoom in so you can see what I mean. Up there, you can see like that pink bit. It's like a round edge. Yeah, we want that to be a real sharp corner. Same with here. Look, it's a round edge. It's all looking a bit rough across there. They're the areas that we're going to tidy up. But as we do this, as we colour in black, we're going to get to these bits, these inwards corners, and these are the bits we're going to go overboard a little bit with. We're going to put a bit extra in there. The reason we're putting a bit extra is so we get the black paint right in the cracks, right in the corners, knowing that we can take them out again, or take the majority of it out again with the pink. Let's do it. Let's start at the top. Let's work your way across. Just be really mindful of the wet bits on your sketchbook. Just be careful of where you're placing your hand. If you do feel a wet patch on your hand, just lift your hand straight up so you don't smudge it too much, and then see if you can fix it. Don't forget that technique of, if it's a bit wet and looking a bit rough around the edges, just smudge it all off, colour it all over again when you're ready. Now these pieces are really good if you like colouring in. You can just sit and get lost in these, because there's nice big areas to colour in this style of artwork. Would be great to see if any of you want to change things up. You know, we're not putting any black outlines on, but that doesn't mean you can't. I think it's good to kind of go to a certain point by studying another artist and how they work, and trying to utilize their style of drawing to add it to your own. But you do want to get to a point where you're just kind of running on your own, doing your own thing. So look, we're going to get to this bit here. Let me zoom in and show you the cutting in we're going to do there. So yeah, like I say, that bit, look, all a little bit round. So let's just take a line there. We'll go down as well. Take a line there. You see what I mean when we colour this next bit in. You see how sharp that corner's become compared to this round corner? That's the kind of thing we're going after today. And you won't be able to get them all in one go. You're only ever doing what I call outside corners. So that's an outside corner. So we're doing that part of it, this bit up here. This bit down here, I don't know if you can see that actually, this bit down here, this is an inside corner. So we can't, just there, look, inside corner, we can't get this big fat 5M pen to go all the way in that corner and down and have it sharp. So what we'll do is we'll go a little bit further than we need to, knowing that we can cut it out later. I'll explain that again in a second when we actually get to that stage. And you can see how with the black colour, we're just going over those pink lines, those guidelines we put on earlier on. That's why I don't mind putting on the black lines nice and, or the guidelines nice and early, and with Posca pens, because I know they'll all eventually just disappear. So let's go and do this bit then. So watch this. We will curve it round, but we go a little bit too far just there as well. Go a little bit too far. Pay attention to those bits, because they will disappear later. The alternative is that you come down here and you try to get it in there and down. That's not too bad of a line. Quite happy with that. but we can just cut it out a little bit. It's still quite round, and to be honest, some of you might actually like those round edges. It's all about personal preference. For me, I really like cutting in. It's one of my favourite things to do with Posca pens. It just feels like you're doing some really good work with it when you're just in the zone and you're just cutting in all over the place. But still, worth practicing the technique, even if you don't use the technique. At least it's in the bank for when you do need it. You might decide that fat ends is actually your style. That's what you like doing. Okay, let's move down. We're going to do the same here. We're going to go around all of this hand. Loads of inside corners there, look. So we will need to cut those out again a little bit later. So don't worry, look, you see where it's all looking a little bit messy in there? That's the kind of stuff you don't need to worry about. A lot of time, I think enjoying the process of drawing is all about having the confidence that you know how to fix things that don't look right. And not fix, you don't have to fix them straight away. You fix them when you're ready to fix them. And I think that's a big part of enjoying your drawing. Okay, let's go and let's go and do some cutting in around these arms. So you remember what I said about just taking off the edge so they become really sharp down there. Let's do it just here, and let's do it here. Still looks a little bit messy, but if we colour this bit in now, you'll see what I mean. So I spent all that time doing those stripes, looking a bit messy. If anybody's watching me doing the artwork, they're going to be looking, thinking, it's made a bit of a mess of that. Those outlines could have been a lot neater. But I knew at that stage I didn't need to be neat because I knew the neatness part was coming later. Let's just colour a little tiny bit of this in so you can see how much better that sleeve looks. Well, how much better I think it looks. Look at that, really nice and sharp all over the place. Let's just go and put in just there and just there. Again, just going over a little bit, knowing that I'm going to cut in a little bit later. Just there, look, I'm probably going to have to cut in with the pink going down to get the sharp corner at the top, and then the blue again going across to get rid of the pink. We'll do that in a second. Right, let's go and do the main part of the jumper again. We're going to just draw a line down. Nice and gentle with our colouring in, because we're going over the top of paint that's not fully dry. You just want to be as gentle as you can. One more line, one more section to colour in. So just looking at my piece, if I zoom out and show you that, just looking at my piece now, there's like loads of little funky bits all over the place where it just doesn't look right. They're the bits that I think when you're drawing would start bothering people. And you'd be instantly thinking, oh, that don't look right, I need to go and fix that. For me, the main thing is remembering, yeah, I do need to fix it, but I'll fix it later at the fixing stuff stage. At the moment, I'm still in the making a mess stage, so let's just trust the process and carry on making a mess. And that making a mess is just chucking on all the colour. think as well, this is a good style to really try your own thing. If you look at the Pintachan style of drawing, all the eyes are very simple, all the mouths and noses are very simple. So the eyes and the mouth in this piece are just going to be great big U shapes. So, you know, you just got to ask yourself, can you do this? Can you just tweak a few little bits here and there? Maybe give it a slightly different hairstyle or a slightly different shape face. So we went for a complete circle. What if you went for something a bit more like of an oval, wider, taller, that kind of thing? Okay. It's coming together quite nicely. Just going to give that a few seconds to dry. And I think what we'll do next is, before we do any cutting in, let's go and add some other features, because these are the features. With that black pen still, these other features will still also need to be cut out later on. So let's start with the nose. So we're going to draw a line coming down right from the middle of this face, down and then a bounce off. We're going to thicken it up quite a lot as well, but let's go from about here, down, and a bounce off. So thicken it up. What you can see in there is that the nose did come out a little bit. Look how streaky that is. That's my own fault. I was pressing too hard. So if that happens, just wait for it to dry, go over it again, and we'll get rid of that. Let's go and do the eyes. Two great big U shapes. Big as you can. Try to draw them quite quick as well. The quicker you draw them, the more chance you have of getting smooth lines. There's one big shape. Again, the ends of that, we're going to taper that off later, so don't panic too much about that not being particularly smooth. Let's go and do something similar over on the other side. Nice and gentle. Colour it all in. Not worrying too much about the ends because we will tidy those up a little bit later. Last line in the face is the mouth, so let's go and do a nice big curve from one cheek to the other cheek. Again, nice and quick. The quicker you do it, the smoother it's going to look. There's our face. The lines around the face, a lot of them are quite thick, thicker than they probably need to be, but then don't forget we're going to cut them in, and it's worth going a little bit bigger with these lines, knowing that when you're cutting them in, you're going to make them a little bit smaller. I know I'm labouring the point now, so I'm not going to mention it anymore about going a little bit bigger than you need to with those lines. Right, let's get down into this hand now. What I love about this hand is pretty much how easy it is to draw. It does look pretty cool when it's finished. First thing we'll do is we're going to go and put a thumb in. So this thumb is going to go from across here, just touch the top there and hook back. Okay, so from about there, just touch the top, hook back. Main reason we're touching the top there is so that we don't have to bother with any cutting in across the top. Just leave it quite rough. Then what we'll do is we're going to go and put in 2 fingers, so 2 bouncy lines in this area here, starting from the top, bouncing down to the bottom. The second finger is going to be hidden behind the thumb to a certain extent. So like this, let go. Again, look at that streakiness that's coming through because I'm pressing a little bit too hard. And because I haven't left this pink long enough to dry really. Okay, let's stop with the black. That's pretty much all we're going to need with the black. Let's go and play around with the light pink again. We'll start at the top, we'll work our way down. In fact, what we'll do is we'll start on the areas that should be the driest and work our way around, okay? So the areas that should be the driest, these little bits here, you see that section, this section, I'm going to start cutting these out. So go and grab that pink, and this is where we just go over the line. Nice and gently, don't press too hard. We're just cutting it out and getting a real sharp point there. Will you really notice the difference between the sharpness there and the sharpness there? Not many people are going to see that, but I actually like that, having it really sharp rather than just okay sharp. Now again, remember we tried to get these lines going right into the wrist. This is where we're going to cut those. It doesn't matter that we've gone into that blue because we're going to cut that as well. Let's do down here, let's cut and cut. That little bit in between the fingers as well. Look, let's just cut that side, cut that side. Look at that sharp point that we're getting in there. With some of these, you might just be able to see a little tiny bit of black showing through. So when they're dry, feel free to give them another little coat. Don't worry that the pink is going into the blue here. We'll come back to that and sort it out later. This line up here, we did a reasonably decent job of keeping that corner nice and straight. I did a reasonably decent job of that corner being nice and neat. If yours isn't neat, then just follow the same process as what we've done everywhere else. Okay, so we can just give that a second coat. Don't rush it. Do it when it's ready. It's only ready when it's dry. Don't try and give it a second coat when it's wet because you'll just end up moving paint around. Getting up into the face, let's go and work on those eyes. So that we're just going to take this bit, chopping it all the way off like that. That's looking nice. Let's see if we can do something similar on the other side. Don't need to chop off quite so much on the other side. Try not to do it when you're cutting in like that, especially on black, especially if you're working quick like we are today. If you don't get it right first time, second time, or even third time, if you're lucky, if you don't get it right the first few times, just leave it to dry, go back to it a little bit later. Do not try and do it like the fourth, fifth, or sixth time, because that's when you start diluting or mixing up the paint that's underneath. So try to get it right first or second time. If not, just go back to it. There we go, that's looking quite nice. Let's go around the outside. Doesn't matter if you go on the outside or the inside on these. But just remember, a nice light touch. That nose, we can even just sharpen out some of the points on that nose. So for example, that bit. Make all those lines really sharp. And like I said before, this is mainly because we're not putting in any black outlines. There's nowhere to hide. So we just use this cutting in and this extra finesse in the colouring in, or finishing the colouring in, to make it work. Get into those cheekbones, whatever colour you've used for these cheekbones, let's just go and chop those off as well. Got a little bit of a smudge there, so I'm just going to get that. But that looks kind of nice. That's nice and simple. Let's finish off down in the hands. So what do we got? Let's chop the thumb off there, like that. And then let's get with that last colour, that little bit of blue, that light blue, tidying up these bits. So you see how we had to do those lines in a specific order. So we had to put all the black bits on there first, and we cut out with the pink. The pink was in the way there of the blue, so we cut out with the blue. And it's all about, the more you practice, the more you'll understand which bits need to be cut out first, which lines need to be cut out first. But sometimes just going backwards and forwards is just as much fun. Don't have to think about it. You just kind of think, okay, that bit needs doing, so I'll go back to that in a little while. So like, for example, I've just done that. I know now I'm going to have to go back on that with a black just to chop that a little bit out. It's no biggie. It's all good. What I'm going to do then, while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to tidy up this finger a little bit. I just want to bring that line in. Tidy that up a little bit. I'm going to throw in maybe a couple of strands of hair as well. So just be careful you're not smudging anything, and let's go and put in a bit of hair just there. Look. Same down here. Let's bring that line. That's pretty cute, just so we've got a couple of little loose strands of hair. That's not in the original artwork. The original artwork just keeps it much simpler than that. But I think it's at this stage where you should just be asking yourself, right, what can I do to this piece to make it your piece of artwork, to turn it into a fan art piece rather than a direct copy. There we go, just cutting out that last little bit there. That looks nice. So there you go. Again, a really simple piece, just a few colours, lots and lots of cutting in to compensate for the lack of outlines that we're doing with the black. Just getting all this really nice bits, nice corners, sharp corners with fat pens, thin lines with fat pens. That's the kind of stuff we're after. Okay, let's whack a signature on it. I'm gonna have to. I'm probably gonna. No, I'll use a fat pen. Where am I gonna put? Where am I gonna put it? I'm gonna squeeze it in down here. That'll do. There you go. Hope you enjoyed that one. I'll see you in the next video.